That was some good mischief, because Guy put in the order of service changes and knew that I had put on my wish list. Could Changes by David Bowie be played during worship this month for our worship theme of changes? Ha ha ha. Changes arrive. And he didn't put David Bowie because he wanted to surprise me. And I said, well, I think I might embarrass myself. He goes, yes, that was the plan. All right. Okay, I almost started singing, and okay, I contained myself. Guy, you're spectacular. Thank you. And yeah. Don't you love you church? David Bowie changes. So good. Well, many of you know already that in my previous life I was a bit of a theater geek. I'm so happy to know I'm in good company in this congregation. We got lots of theater geeks in our midst. When I was 19, I actually got pretty serious about my theater geekness, and after several years of acting classes and small theater productions in my hometown, I took the plunge and auditioned at several theater conservatories and ended up going to the Goodman School of Drama at DePaul University in Chicago. And I loved my time there. It was a great program and place. But what I really loved was being introduced to comedic improvisation. I think we took a whole year to study and practice it. Have any of you ever been to shows put on by, comedic improv troupes and groups? Okay, not stand up, right? So they elicit things from the audience and you shout it out, people and places, and then jump in and see what happens. Or there was that show, Whose Line Is It Anyway? Maybe some of you used to watch that back on TV. So here's what I love, and loved then and still love, about comedic improvisation. There is one cardinal rule. I see some nodding heads. It's sacrilege to deviate from it. Do you want to shout it out? Yes, and. See, I'm in company of some good theater geeks. Yes, and. I'm going to say it so many more times, too. Yes, and. That's the cardinal rule. So what this means is that when you are in the middle of a scene with someone, you never, ever, ever say or even convey no to what is called the playable action. The playable action. So, example, let's say one improviser walks on stage and says, "My hair is on fire." The second improviser, no matter what, agrees with this reality. That's the yes part. But there's more. The second improviser needs to then add some new information to the scene. This is the and part. So she could roast a marshmallow on the head fire, or say, "My hair is also on fire, it's the new look." Or tell her acting partner that she's the phoenix who's just risen from the hair fire flames, right? On and on and on. The and part of yes and is just new playable information that keeps the scene moving forward, right? So this is what would happen if the yes and improv rule is broken. Improviser 1 takes the stage and says, "My hair is on fire," and then improviser 2 says, "No, your hair's not on fire. I don't see any fire." What happens now? Improviser 1 could say, "Yes, it is. You're wrong." But then we've moved from our playable realm into an energy-sucking debate. Debates are the sacrilege part of comedic improvisation. And I've seen this happen before, and I've done it. It's painful, and for sure not funny. It's like a record screech, right? The playable realm, the yes and, this is the place of possibility, of shape-shifting, and even magic making. Change happens swiftly with every and when you get it right and find yourself synchronized in the thing, your thinking, rational mind ceases to get in the way, as does the audience's. And you are in the unlimited, co-creative, wide open place. Last week, our amazing music director, Charlene, who not only is the greatest talent with our music, but leads our choir, but also writes beautiful homilies. So you're the triple threat around here. She shared a story in her homily about a lesson with her oboe student, right? Where she brilliantly said to her, get out of your comfort zone and leave your limits behind. This is yes and, leave the limits behind. It's not a huge leap that I started off in this world of comedic improvisation and have ended up here. It's really not. So both vocations, the way I see it, are a call to the playable realm. A call to the playable realm. The yes and orientation to life, and in our Unitarian-Universalist tradition, faith. Seeking, revelation. That's the playable realm, the wide open space, the leave your limits behind place. That's the way I see it. The title of my sermon today is Revelation is Not Sealed. So this is an affirmation that has long been cherished in Unitarian Universalism. It shaped some of our principles and has inspired our sources, which we look to as guides to how we live our principles. That's the purpose of the sources. These are as close to creeds as we get in this religion of ours. Revelation is not sealed simply means that we are open, awake to the unexpected, and willing to be changed by it in all matters, in all matters. And the history of this tenet, revelation is not sealed, is one whose roots really took hold during the time of the Great Awakening here in the States. And now that's a huge span of time, from the 17th to the 19th centuries, where a growing wrestling and rejection of sealed, prescribed belief and closed biblical interpretation began to spread. And I'm simplifying here. I don't have time this morning to trace my finger over the whole history of our faith. There were so many seeds laid over hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years that laid the groundwork to how we arrived at our current principles in this tenet, revelation is not sealed. But I point to the Great Awakening, where Unitarianism and Universalism blossom to help contextualize this just a bit. Because suddenly people began to question the sealed nature of revelation, which had been how the New Testament had been interpreted up until this point. The Apostles' Creed or bust, right? I believe, I believe, I believe, amen. Period, end, stop. Can you imagine what a time this was? I mean, seriously. To only know prescribed, sealed creeds and doctrine, and to then be sitting, for example, in a Baltimore pew in 1819 And this 39-year-old kid of a preacher, William Ellery Channing, shows up and preaches that, and I'm paraphrasing a bit here, preaches that the Bible's language is glowing, bold, and figurative, that it demands more frequent departures from the literal sense, that it demands more continuous exercise of judgment, and that we feel it our duty, these are his words, to look beyond the letter to the spirit and to make use of what is known for discovering new truths. In 1819. Amen. Channing is really well known for his vision of children's religious education, another radical vision, as being one of not stamping our minds upon the young, but stirring them up, helping them to stir up their own minds. And Channing wasn't the only one. He's often become, we've got like 6 guys that we tend to look at. There was a myriad of diverse voices, many of them unknown, that were preaching this gospel. Wild. Stir up, discover new truths, look beyond, bold and continuous, frequent departures. So this is why we call ourselves a free faith, a living tradition, a religion where revelation is not sealed. This is why. We sing songs about being pilgrims, casting questions into the deep, and welcoming in wanderers and lovers of leaving. We speak affirmations of faith that bind us to seeking truth freely for ourselves, the only stipulation being that our truths and seeking are rooted in love. Free faith. Okay. But here is where we've gotten a bit stuck. And before I go on, please remember that our tradition, the way we know it and live it now, while spanning hundreds and hundreds of years, is really in its adolescence. It is. It was only in the 1960s that Unitarians and Universalists merged and boldly proclaimed that we aren't just Christian anymore, and that there are a myriad of ways to name and access the divine in this faith and life. So, 1960s, we are still trying to figure out how to do this. Be this big tent of belief and non-belief, and all the while seeking and often inconveniently loving. It's a wonderful experiment. Radical. There has been a sizable swath of time here where UU churches, understandably so, have become a safe haven for those fleeing from their churches and faiths of origin, right? We are still this place, and it is wonderful. It is wonderful. But we have also walked the dangerous line of being revelation sealers. Stopped seeking. Choosing not to live in the playable spiritual realm, the yes and place. Many of us, I fear, have become experts at no, and are far better able to articulate what we don't believe than what we do. What has not worked for us than what might work for us. Me included. I say this all the time to you. I do not preach from a pulpit on high. And in the public square, sadly, UUs have become known as the religion where you can casually believe whatever you want. Or not believe anything at all. And this loosey-goosey myth just so gets under my skin, I can't even begin. It's just not true, and it never was true. It's nonsense. Our faith has requirements, y'all. To become a Unitarian-Universalist, you make no doctrinal promises. That's true. But you're required to do a lot. You're required to discover your own beliefs, and that is hard. I know it and you know it. You promise to use your reason and your experience and the dictates of your conscience to decide upon your own theology. And then you're asked to actually live by that theology. And you're asked to take your faith seriously. And you're asked to commit yourself to a life of seeking and growing, changing, enhancing, revisiting, revisioning, so that your revelation from 1995 or 1975 has not cordoned you off from the ever-changing and growing spiritual life available here and now and tomorrow. And we are at such an exciting moment in our teenage religion. We are. I believe we are paving the way for the future and survival of organized religion and church, truly. I really do. I mean, literally right now, our larger faith is re-examining our faith's 7 principles. This is the Article 2 revision. And it's been called the juiciest part of what is going on in our faith. It is juicy. There's been all these links in the Arbella to webinars around the country UUs are gathering to wrap their heads around this. It's written about in our UU World magazine. I'm sure many of you got it. It's going to be at General Assembly this year and again in 2 years. It's a huge moment. I invite you and encourage you to take some time and understand what it is. Reverend Bill Sinkford, our previous UUA president and a titan in our faith, truly, recently said about this revision that answers that served us yesterday have to be tested against the needs of a new day. He has asked us all to consider what the world needs us to be in the 21st century. And Reverend Bill knows acutely that questions and endeavors like this are at the heart of who we are and what we believe, what is required of us. Revelation is not sealed. And we can apply this to our own journeys of faith, for they are journeys without final destinations. Ask yourself if answers that served you yesterday might need to be tested against the needs of a new day. Have you sealed Revelation decades ago and you're just kind of casually riding it out? This is a personal faith question that I'm asking you, and it's a question that should guide us in all of our affairs here. We're already doing it. We are. Governance, committee structures, how we live welcome, what we call our history and how we tell it, how we do church, what we say our mission is. I could go on and on. We get to ask ourselves, have we sealed Revelation decades ago and are just kind of casually riding it out? Maybe. This is no time for a casual faith, my dear friends. These are our UUA president, Reverend Susan Frederick Gray's words. They're on our wayside pulpit this month out on the lawn. This is no time for a casual faith. The path of change, revelation, a living tradition of free faith, these things can't be if we are casual or worse, resolved. So we try to live in the playable realm here. We're trying and failing and trying again. In it together. In it together. And this is why I love Kai Miller's poem. Thank you, Lynn, for that beautiful reading, the book of Genesis. He took inspiration from the Hebrew Bible's creation story, right? A stunning piece of prose, whose every line begins with let there be, let there be, let there be. And that word let, it is such a possibility, it's a possibility word, right? A what if word, a yes and word, let. Personally, I think it sums up our faith pretty well. Let there be, let there be, let there be. Let's listen to Miller's words again. Suppose there was a book full only of the word let, from whose clipped sound all things began. Fur and firmament, feather, the first whale. And suppose we could scroll through its pages every day to find and pronounce a let meant only for us. We would stumble through the streets with open books, eyes crossed from too much reading. We would speak in auto-rhyme. The world would echo itself. And still, we'd continue in rounds saying let and let and let until even silent dreams had been allowed. My spiritual companions, let us not rest on our laurels or become casual or resolved in our seeking. For every I don't believe, consider what you do believe. For every no, but, consider the yes and. And then write this stuff down. Take it seriously. Ask yourself when and what and why. Why? And whether it still holds up. Read books that challenge you. Throw your hands up in the air and say, I don't know. How about that? There's a bold and needed practice in our world. I don't know. And talk about it with one another. That's my charge to you. Ask someone what they believe and why, and then be open. Yes, and yes, and yes, and let, and let, and let. And I'm going to close with some words for you in honor of his birthday, which was yesterday, I believe. It's a simple statement, but it just cuts to the heart of the thing. In the words of UU theologian and humanist, he did not concede that there was a God working in this world. He saw it in his fellows. James Luther Adams, who said simply, the Church of the Spirit is a pilgrim church on adventure. The Church of the Spirit, our church, Unitarian-Universalism, is a pilgrim church on adventure. And I say to you, may it be so for us all today, tomorrow, and the tomorrows after. Amen.